For most of the 20th century, making music required an army of specialists, a whole bunch of people that had to contribute in different ways to make sure that the music happened. But because of the way technology has moved, some of these jobs just don't exist anymore. A great example is the copyist. Before computers, you had to have a copyist sit down and write out all of the sheet music for the different band members, session players, and if the producer changed something, they'd have to stay up, scribble it out, start again. Now, obviously there are still copyists out there who are writing the sheet music, but music notation software has taken this responsibility away from people for the most part. Another great example is the tape operator. The tape guy was the one that was sitting there in the studio with the engineers, operating the tape machine, loading the tape reels, cleaning everything up, aligning the heads, checking all the levels, punching everything in at the exact time. And it sounds simple, but the fact is you had to have someone there to operate the tape machine while the entire session was happening and the engineer was making sure that the music sounded good. It required a lot of concentration. These days, punching in is tapping a button on your keyboard. And then you'd have the splicer, the guy that would work with the tape operators to cut the tape, splice things together, remove certain sections, chop and change between different takes to make sure that the tape that comes out of that session is a proper performance. This was a very delicate job done with a razor by hand. If you stuff it up, you lose a take, or you cut out a little bit too much, you cannot undo what's been recorded on the tape. Obviously, this is very different now in DAWs where you can just edit, undo things, redo things. No need for this guy or his mate, the studio librarian either, the guy that would take the tapes from the session once they'd been cut up and recorded, documented them, cataloged them, stored them away safely, and made sure that everything was organized so that when people came back to collect the tapes or the tapes were transported to be processed or mixed, everything was organized. It was literally our librarian's role. This person had to know where everything was. They had to know that everything was being kept safe and everything was cataloged in an orderly fashion. What about the technicians and tuners? The guys that would come in before a session starts and tune the drums, tune all the synths, make sure the piano's tuned, make all of these little adjustments so that the session could run smoothly without any of these technical hiccups. Gone. Music contractors, the guys that used to ring around, organize to have session players come in, orchestras come in, making sure that everybody got their sheet music, everyone knew what date and time the session was taking place, fell off the face of the earth. And then there's the runner, the guy that would come in and grab the tape reels, that would grab people coffee, drinks, whatever they needed, cleaned all the cables, patched everything in, followed the orders of the studio engineer. For a lot of people, this is how they earn their stripes. These were not just jobs, they were pathways into the industry where you could get in the room with the people that you wanted to really work with. Copyists became arrangers, tape operators became engineers, runners became producers, splicers became editors, contractors became musical directors. The digital world didn't just replace the roles themselves, but it replaced the entire ecosystem where all of these people needed to work in tandem to make sure that a project would get off the ground. Now, this system might never come back, but the fingerprints are still there. Every function and operation that we can perform in Logic and in Ableton comes from a role that used to really exist. And although those roles don't exist anymore, the fingerprints are everywhere and the influence will probably never go away.